Hello there. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda and I'm the founder of Just for Tummies. I've been a natural health practitioner for over 30 years now, and I specialise in helping people resolve their digestive and gut issues. So one of our products at Just for Tummies, and it is without a doubt our most popular product at the moment, is our live bacteria probiotic capsules. And I'll just show you these. I'll take the seal off. There's a seal there, as you can see, a protective seal. Just peel that away, and that is what one of the live bacteria probiotic capsules look like. It's quite small, but if you do have a strong gag reflex, I know some people do, you can empty you can split the capsule and you can empty the powder into a cold drink, mix it in yogurt, ice cream, sprinkle it on cereal or cold food. So those are our live bacteria probiotic capsules. Now, you're probably aware that if you've taken antibiotics, it's always a good idea to take a course of probiotics afterwards, because broad spectrum antibiotics decimate the levels of friendly bacteria, not just in your gut, but we're talking about the gut now, the levels of friendly bacteria in your gut, and this can predispose you to develop all manner of digestive and gut issues, in particular irritable bowel syndrome, uncomfortable bloating, painful tract gas, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux. So before I go any further, as you can imagine, because I'm the founder of a range of digestive and gut health supplements, and because of my vast experience in helping tens of thousands of people over the years resolve their digestive and gut symptoms, I get contacted day in, day out by people who suffer with all manner of symptoms. And very often I will recommend a course of live bacteria probiotics. So let me give you an example. Sometimes if you've had a course of antibiotics, they can cause pain in the stomach, gastritis. Anything with itis on the end indicates inflammation. So antibiotics can cause inflammation in the stomach. So I've been contacted by people who had no issue with gastritis at all, but then as soon as they completed a course of antibiotics for maybe a throat infection, a chest infection, a skin infection, a UTI, they've developed gastritis. So when someone contacts me and they need my help, I do ask a few questions, because how can I possibly recommend one of our Just for Tummies supplements until I have a proper picture of why they are suffering with the particular symptom or symptoms that they are suffering with? So I want to know, obviously, what their symptoms are, how long they've had their symptoms, what was the initial trigger of their symptoms. So for example, in the case of gastritis, did the gastritis start as soon as they began taking antibiotics, or quite soon after they'd finished a course of antibiotics? I'd want to know what medications they're taking. I'd want to know what age they were. And I'd certainly want to know their antibiotic history, and if they'd ever had any gut infections like food poisoning or viruses like gastroenteritis. So let's just, as an example, say someone contacted me and they were suffering from gastritis, and they want to go down the natural route. They've maybe been to see their GP, and their GP had suggested a course of proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole or lansoprazole. Now, I do have to say that if you have persistent gastritis, it's very important that you get checked out by your GP, because there is a little bug called Helicobacter pylori that can cause inflammation in the stomach, as well as bloating and nausea. So it's always a good idea with persistent gastritis that you go and get checked out by your GP, just to ensure that there's nothing sinister going on in your stomach. He may recommend you an initial course of a PPI. He may refer you for a gastroscopy, and that's where a camera is put down your esophagus into your stomach so they can have a look and see what is causing the gastritis. Your GP will determine his course of action in terms of whether it's a medication he puts you on, or he refers you to gastroenterology for a scope into your stomach. But if you've been to see your GP and, oh, it's gastritis, take these drugs, and you don't want to do that, you don't want to take drugs, and you've recently had antibiotics, then take a course of our live bacteria probiotic capsules. Just try them for a month. There's a month's supply in each pot, so there's 60 capsules, and I always recommend that you take one before breakfast and one before bed with a little water, not at the same time as a hot drink for obvious reasons. The bacteria in these capsules are dormant, and as soon as they come into contact with fluids in the digestive system, and a hot drink in particular will kill lots of the bacteria off. So please, with a cold drink when you take these. Right, so that's gastritis then, to help calm down gastritis. I may also recommend with gastritis that if you're not eating oily fish at least 3 times a week, that you take one of our omega-3 fish oil capsules for the essential fatty acids, the anti-inflammatory essential fatty acids. But back to the live bacteria. So when else may I recommend live bacteria? Well, obvious, after antibiotics, of course. So if you've had a course of broad spectrum antibiotics for an infection, then billions of your friendly gut bacteria are going to be destroyed, and that's going to put you more at risk of getting gut issues like irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease. Certainly, if you've had multiple courses of antibiotics, you're going to be more at risk of inflammatory bowel disease, painful bloating, trapped gas, constipation, diarrhea. And that's because I think what a lot of people don't realise, when it comes to proper digestion of your food, all the different food groups that you eat, and you should be eating lots of different food groups to feed your friendly bacteria. But if your friendly bacteria has been decimated by antibiotics, then if some of those strains that, for example, maybe munch away at your carbohydrates, if they're not there, or if they're there in very low numbers, then every time you eat carbohydrates, you could well get pain, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. So after antibiotics, you should always take a 3-month course of live bacteria probiotics to replenish, recolonize your gut with friendly bacteria. One before breakfast, as I said earlier, and one before bed. Now, it has to be said that some people find after they've had antibiotics and when they've completed a course of our live bacteria, that they feel so much better. The painful bloating's disappeared, the bowel movements are regular, they're having a bowel movement every day, the gastritis has calmed down. But when they stop taking the probiotics, when they've been stopped for, say, a week or 2, the symptoms begin to creep back. And this can happen because antibiotics can, in many cases, completely eradicate strains of ancestral bacteria that have been passed down from mother to daughter, mother to daughter, mother to daughter, through the birth canal when the baby is born, because that's when you pick up a lot of your lactobacilli bacteria. When you're being born and you're being pushed down your mum's birth canal, the lactobacilli bacteria that coats her vagina coats your skin, and it goes up your nose and it goes into your mouth and you swallow it, and it begins the seeding of the bacteria in your gut. So antibiotics come along, you take the antibiotics and they kill that bacteria, which is why for many people, when they've had antibiotics, and especially multiple courses of antibiotics, they have to take a daily probiotic for a considerable length of time, months, years sometimes, because the ancestral bacteria has been completely eradicated by the antibiotics. And if they don't take the live bacteria, the symptoms creep back. I hope that makes sense. When else would you take live bacteria, or when else would I recommend it? Well, for example, after an illness or surgery, to help build up your immune system again. Because remember that around 80% or more of your immune system is manufactured and is located in your gut. So if you already have a gut problem like irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, or you're prone to attacks of diverticulitis, you may also be quite run down and prone to infections. And that's because your immune system that's sitting in your gut needs that extra support. Certainly if you've got a gut issue, a gut symptom, a gut disorder, a gut disease. So again, I would recommend one of our live bacteria capsules before breakfast and before bed. So what else? Oh yes, after a gut infection, of course, food poisoning in particular. Maybe you've been abroad and you've picked up a bug, you've been poorly abroad where you've had vomiting and where you've had diarrhea. Just bear this in mind, that food poisoning is the #1 cause of IBS, especially post-infectious IBS. And the number of times I've been contacted over the years by people who have gone on to develop irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease, and what they didn't know was that their syndrome, their IBS, their IBD, was caused by a nasty bug or a parasite that they picked up, not necessarily on holiday while they were on the gap year traveling. No, they may have picked up a bug at a barbecue in the back garden here in the UK. So if you've had food poisoning, if you've had viral gastroenteritis, for example, it's super important that you take a 3-month course of our live bacteria probiotic capsules to reduce the risk of you getting irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, painful bloating, constipation. It's very common after you've had a bug or a parasitic infection. It's very common you get that initial diarrhea for 3, 5 or more days, but then you get constipated. You've never been constipated before, so why now? And it's because the bug, the parasite, could well still be in your gut causing a problem, but it's also left low-grade inflammation in the lining of your gut, and that will upset transit time in your gut, affecting slowing down your gut and causing constipation. So probiotics, yes, when you've had a gut infection, but also what's super important when you've had food poisoning in particular, to help get rid of that bug or parasite, is to take a course of charcoal capsules. These are our activated charcoal capsules, and I recommend a 5-day course of these. I won't give you the protocol now, but you can, if you go on the Just For Tummies website, and at the top in the navigation bar to the right hand side, you will see, I think it says Linda's blogs. I'm sure it does. Click on that and you'll get a drop down menu and it will say activated charcoal cleanse fact sheet, and you will be able to download that for free. So please do bear that in mind. If you've had any gut infection, food poisoning event, you need to carry out a 5-day charcoal deep clean of your gut to ensure that that bug, that parasite, is absorbed and excreted out of your gut. Right, what else do I want to tell you then? Well, urinary tract infections, of course. Although I don't normally recommend live bacteria probiotics to women who suffer with UTIs, this is the one I recommend. This is the one I developed after the live bacteria for women capsules, specifically for women who suffer with urinary tract infections, thrush, bacterial vaginosis. But I've also put a couple of other strains of friendly bacteria in here that also help support stomach and gut health. So we've put Lactobacilli reuteri in here, which is the strain of bacteria that's been shown to help reduce UTIs, thrush and bacterial vaginosis. But I wanted to add something extra. So there's also Lactobacillus acidophilus and Lactobacillus rhamnosus in here, two of the most important strains of friendly bacteria that help reduce IBS symptoms, bloating, that help regulate and regularize bowel movements. So I can't think of anything else off the top of my head regarding the live bacteria probiotics. Just to say, really, it's an extremely versatile supplement. I'd also recommend, of course, anyone over the age of 50 to take just one a day of these capsules, because as we age, our gut ages with us, and we are more prone to gut infections and certainly bowel cancer as we age. If you have anyone in your family who has been diagnosed with bowel cancer, especially a close family member like a parent or a sibling, then I would, and you have bowel problems yourself, well, in the first instance, I would suggest that you go and get checked out by your GP, and you tell your GP your family history of bowel cancer, but that you also take probiotics, at least 1 or 2 probiotic capsules daily, to help reduce your risk of getting a bowel cancer. And please, if you're not eating oily fish, at least 3 times a week, take one of our omega-3 essential fatty acid anti-inflammatory fish oil capsules too. Anything else I want to tell you? Well, again, if you're over 50 and you've suddenly noticed that you're not digesting your food as well as you used to, maybe you're getting a bit of indigestion, a bit gassy, a bit bloated, then I'd suggest that you top up with the daily live bacteria, just 1 or 2 capsules daily. And but you may also, if you are getting bloated, especially after food, you may also want to try taking one of our one of our natural digestive enzyme tablets just before food. Certainly if you are eating late in the evening, if you're going on holiday, these are a godsend. If you're going to be eating more food, richer food, and later in the evening. But I don't want to digress, because this video really is about this amazing product that we have here and the many versatile uses that it has. So I think that's it for now. If you've got any questions about anything I've just mentioned, any of those symptoms, and you want to check if live bacteria would be suitable for you, then please get in touch. As I said, we'll ask a few questions. We'll want to know what your symptoms are, how long you've had them, what do you think the initial trigger of your symptoms was, what causes flare-ups now, your antibiotic history, your history of food poisoning or bacterial gut infections, viral gut issues of any kind, what medications you're taking, and what age you are, and then we can put together a supplement protocol that's unique for you and your symptoms. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and bye bye for now.